Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Emmy the Cat Lady here, and you join me here in Zion Canyon. So this is going to be the new Tuesday series going forward, so I'm going to talk about some of the interesting stories and people in the wasteland that you can come across. So given that we talked about it a bit when I was doing the video on Vault 22, I thought we would start with Randall Clark. So Randall Clark's a very interesting man. So he was a soldier in the US Army before the bombs. He was involved with the annexation of Canada, and he was here camping when the bombs fell. So there's a few sort of locations that he settled in, and he made a lot of journal entries as well. So that just tells a very interesting story and gives us a real kind of perspective of exactly what life was like in the immediate aftermath of the bombs. So we're here at Fallen Rock Cave, and you can see there's tripwire, which we can disarm. So right at the underwater entrance as well, you have to kind of swim to get through here. He has left tripwire, so I'll show you where we are on the map. So we're here. So the entrance that you come in to Zion through the southern passage is over here, and then the Dead Horses camp where you meet Joshua Graham is right here. So we're just kind of beyond that, and you saw that there's white handprints outside, so that's something that the tribals here do for places that they see as taboo, that they don't go into. And we'll come into this cave, and there is mushrooms, and more mushrooms, cave fungus. So if you're looking for cave fungus for anything, this place has got you covered. And yep, there's explosives, all kinds of traps set up in this cave. There's another one. Yep. Saw that one. Yeah, you know I'm quite good at getting myself blown up. But yeah, there's cave fungus, there's rigged shotguns that we can disarm, some healing powder and purified water, and some 20 gauge. Yeah, and again there's another tripwire, which would be the one that sets off the rigged shotguns probably. But yeah, lots of traps. So you can see this guy obviously had fear of something coming after him. So that's the other way out of the cave. But if we head round back the way we came, and there's another branching path. Yep, there's more tripwires, which are really hard to get your cursor on to disarm. And then there's one set up next to a gas canister. So a rigged shotgun again. The guy knew what he was doing when it came to, you know, defences and kind of protecting his little camp from intruders. But so we come down here after getting blown up again because I'm not paying attention. Yeah, this is quite normal. This is why the light step perk is really good for me, because I am not that great at spotting things. But yeah, you can see we've got crates here. There's fission batteries. There's a reloading bench footlocker, so it has some lead and some casings for the 45. Reloading bench, scrap metal. There's a teddy bear, which is kind of sweet. Duct tape, more scrap metal, workbench. Some energy weapon ammo. Yeah, loads of supplies here. We've got anti-venom, purified water, cactus fruit, a makeshift bed, some datura root, wonder glue, all sorts of crafting materials. So it's very much, you know, very well set up. And then we've got a survival cache. So there's a few of these, and there is actually an achievement if you get all of them, and it has kind of random leveled loot, but good stuff. You know, you've got loads of you can get stealth boys, you can get loads of ammo, armor, weapons, explosives, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so there we go, survivalist bounty. So there's 6 of these to find throughout the wasteland, and then again we've got more ammo and stuff over here. So, you know, fairly well set up, and with the mushrooms growing, that gives him a good supply of food. And campfire sack, so he's got cooking and materials and things. So this is a guy who knows how to survive, which is why he becomes kind of known as the survivalist, because he knew what he was doing, and he knew how to survive in adverse conditions, that kind of thing. So here is his terminal. So there's kind of 2 years worth of journal entries on here. So we'll start with 2077. So October 28th, 5 days on foot, still can't sleep. So obviously bombs fell on the 23rd of October. Outside, it's like nothing happened. Sky looks wrong, that's all. Hike back to overturned Nat Guard truck near Tokerville after blisters heal maybe. Looks like USGS team was researching something here in cave. Cleared out when bombs fell, left equipment behind. Probably thought they had families to run back to. So it keeps his notes quite brief. But, you know, noting down all the important information. So it seems like there weren't really a lot of bombs local to Zion Canyon, and USGS, I think, is the US Geological Society that were doing research in the caves here, and they ran off and left a bunch of stuff behind, so he's come in here to take advantage of it. And then next day, October 29th, Char must have said this out loud 1,000 times walking here, maybe writing it will feel more like you were right. It was north of Spanish Fork, took the 77 along Provo Bay to steer clear of town, would have been home in an hour, engine died, truck just stopped, so did a Chrysler in the other lane, knew right away, first nuke hit SLC Salt Lake City inside a minute, I was looking south, lucky man, flash behind me, so bright the world looked on fire, old couple from the Chrysler start screaming they can't see, didn't watch you die, Char, saved my eyes, counted 12 more flashes next 7 minutes, ground shook each time, 18 seconds later. When nothing hit for half hour, took a look, globe of fire where you and Alex died, didn't kid myself, didn't know what to do, grabbed my pack and rifle, saw to the old couple, sat them up against the car, let them hold and comfort each other, told them I was going to get help, everything be okay, 1 bullet through both heads, instant, 5-day hike back to Zion. You told me, stop running off to the wild, a man belongs with his family. You were right, you were right, you were right, you were right. Wasn't there to hold you and my boy, died without me, never touch you or him again, should shoot myself, what I deserve. So he was on the road when the bombs hit, and unfortunately a couple on the opposite side of the road basically looked directly at the flash when the nuke hit, which blinded them, so he put them out of their misery essentially, to save them from having to try and survive while blinded, and then he came back here and he is really kind of understandably upset that he wasn't there with his wife and his child when they died, and he's pretty sure that they died, and he says that he deserves to not be here anymore, but can't, maybe soon. So October 31st, black rain falling outside, Geiger jumping, should let it kill me, but bottling water from back of cave all the same. So again, there's some nasty stuff happening, and the radiation levels are getting high, and the rain and the water, and he's just like, yeah, I shouldn't really bother, but he's still collecting water, and trying to set up to survive basically. November 2nd, sounds dead outside but can't look, Geiger goes lethal 15 feet from cave mouth, so he's stuck in this cave because the radiation levels are way too high. Do the math, radiation goes down before water runs out or I never leave this cave. And that's all the entries we've got for 2077. So that is just the immediate kind of couple of weeks after the bombs fell. And he's saying that he doesn't deserve to keep going, but he's still setting himself up to survive. And then we obviously know that he did survive because we've got 2078. So January 1st, Happy New Year. 2 months in cave, still lethal outside, don't get it. An army, they said, 2 to 4 weeks cleared fallout. Less than a month's water left. Been mopping condensation off cave walls, wringing shirt into bottles, trading calories for H2O, food stocks holding, thanks USGS. If there was even a chance I'd see the two of you again, I'd run outside. So he's been here for quite a while now, but he's managing to kind of keep enough food and water to keep him going. Yeah. But he's still obviously thinking a lot of his wife and his son that he lost, so that's obviously something that's still at the forefront of his mind, which is understandable. Then 10 days later, January 10th, sounded like windstorm out there for 2 days, radiation down 500. What happened? January 15th, took a peek, snow, it glows green, so there's your nuclear winter, which, you know, winter time as well, but that is something that's kind of known that could happen with the high radiation. So a couple of weeks later, January 28th, radiation low enough I could risk short exposure outside. More important, cave stream now drinkable if I use rad drugs. January 30th, there's nothing alive out there, so he's obviously taken a little trip outside the cave and has found basically nothing. So this was his first little camp. Possibly he did return to it a few times, because he wouldn't need to set all these booby traps when he thinks that there's nothing hanging around outside. So presumably he did come back here at one point, even if he didn't leave any journal entries on the computer. But there was a lot of supplies that were left by the geologists, so he kind of took advantage of that, and it helped him survive. So next we are going to head to another location, so we will head to Two Skies Cave. Here we go. So this is us at Two Skies Cave, so a bit further along the river. So again, your southern passage is there, and then the old Rockville Bridge, and the cave is just kind of right underneath. And again, you've got the white handprints from the tribals, so this is a place that they consider taboo, so they don't come in here. So let's head inside. And again, lots and lots of mushrooms. Sneaky tripwire, I did see it that time, but it's really, this one's, yeah. I've turned God mode on so that I don't accidentally die from getting blown up. There's some water there. Well, we can have a wee look. I've got the rebreather and God mode, so not sure where this goes. Possibly another way in and out of the cave. Okay. Trespassers will be shot. So this one, again, there's a clever trap. He's electrified this gate, but we can hack the terminal. Okay, so electric door control. Yes. I don't know. There we go. Yeah, so the it's a bit of a weird time. That is yes or no. Or the other thing you can do is you can use explosives to damage the generator for that if you can't hack the terminal. So again, we're seeing, you know, he's taking advantage of what he's finding around and his surroundings, and setting all kinds of traps to protect his camps inside the caves and things, which is really clever. Like campfire sack, so yeah, you get loads of crafting materials. There's a cosy little bed, another cosy little bed, sleep roll, or bedroll kit, I suppose. Here's the survival cache. So again, lots of ammo, Radway, Stealth Boy. It's all randomly generated loot, but it's a pretty good selection of stuff. There's some more food supplies. Got reloading bench, explosive crates, reloading bench, footlocker, Radway, bobby pins. So again, just quite a good collection of things that one might need in order to survive. Then over here, this looks like a food preparation area for his campfire, which you can also use for crafting. And then there's a locked door, so I'll open that up first. I can't remember off the top of my head what's in here. Oh. Got it. Mine's is what's in here. Okay. It's where we just were when we swam through that tunnel, so this would be the other way. Fair enough. Right, in that case, let's go and have a look at the journal. So this covers a couple of years, which is quite interesting. So let's see. So 2083, so that's now 6 years after the bombs fell. May the 5th, the comeback goes on. Add prickly pear to list of survivors with honey mesquite and banana yucca. Odd nodules / mutations, but safe to eat. Harvesting, oh so careful, never take more than a fifth. Mouthwaters every time I'm about to eat something that isn't from a can. So 6 years down the line into the late spring, early summertime, and he's now making a list of plants, edible plants that have survived and have started to grow back and grow in numbers. So he's enjoying the fact that he's eating fresh food rather than something that's been preserved for a long time. Then a couple of days later, on the 7th, clouds of those stinging flies near fallen tree I call the napper. Little flashes in the cloud, something dragonfly sized that zaps them mid-air and then scoops them up, something new. So he's describing some insects or creatures. And then on May 19th, bighorn sheep, a family, ram, ewe and little one. Fucking goddamn it. So yeah, there's actual wildlife animals coming back. The bighorn sheep he's come across. Then May 20th, the sheep were different. Brawny, ewe had curved horns just like the ram. Seen some tiny lizards, but this is first time seeing animals that big. Fingers crossed, 5 to 10 years breeding. Fresh meat, hides, horns. So I know it's time to go back, Char, when winter has passed. So he's excited to find that there is bighorn sheep still around. So he says give them a few years to build up their numbers and potentially he'd be able to hunt them and get some fresh meat and some hides for leather and that kind of thing. But he is also talking about going back home to where his family were and where they died. So the next year, 2084, June 14th, just got back, tired, good scrounging along the way, ended up dragging back a cart of stuff. Right, tomorrow, sleep. Bit more detail now, so that first entry, he's just got back from visiting where his family were and he's exhausted, so he doesn't want to say too much today, just wants to sleep, which is fair. Travelling anywhere at this point in the wasteland is probably extremely difficult, so yeah. So June 15th, departed April 10th, walk to Salt Lake City took 15 days. Would have been 7 to 9 back in the old days, but had to circle pockets of radiation and foraged along the way. Don't know what I was thinking. Imagined I'd find my house, dig through rubble, find something. Your bones, I hoped, and little nuts. Would have buried them here in Zion, maybe. Salt Lake City's mostly craters, warped steel girders where high rises sat, mounds of bricks. Never found our house, didn't even find the street. What wasn't a crater was scorched clean. I want to believe it was fast, a flash, both of you vaporised. Lies to make me feel better. I'll never know which part of the city got hit first. Northeast and you both died in a blink. Farther away and you burned alive screaming, or the blast broken glass and bits of brick and wood splinters shredding you like hamburger. Look at it, coward, and listen. Don't turn away. Face it. If you'd been brave, lucky man, you would have found a spot and blown your brains out. But not you. You took your time walking back, made a shopping trip of it, scrounger. So really, some really, really horrible self-talk. So he's really imagining the worst case scenario and forcing himself to kind of look at that, and really saying some horrible things to himself. And that's the epitome of survivor's guilt. That's what's going on here, is that he's experiencing some severe survivor's guilt because he's alive, his wife isn't, his child isn't, and he is still trying to survive and to keep going even when he thinks that he shouldn't be. So, it's really quite tragic, and it's a normal thing that people experience in these kind of horrific situations, because you think it's not fair that you survived when people that you cared about didn't survive. That's the thing. And pushing them into a bit of depression, and that's it's really quite raw, and it's really quite emotional, and you really start to kind of feel for this guy, because this is him talking to himself. This is what he's thinking to himself, and it's something that when you get into that cycle of depression, it's something that you do. You tell yourself that nothing you do is good enough. You tell yourself that you're a terrible person. You tell yourself all these horrible, horrible things. But then we go back and he says the truck was still there on the 77 north of Spanish Fork, the Chrysalis too, but no sign of the old couple's bones. So, he found his old truck that had broken down. Presumably it was the EMP that knocked it out. Outside the fight, I caught a trail, 3 men, tracks heading towards Fountain Green. I thought about following, but didn't. Stupid fantasy of friends, more likely cannibals. So that's probably his first time actually seeing people, living people, and he thought about going after them, but then decided not to, because it was far more likely that they were going to be dangerous. And June 20th, took 2 days to build door and electrify it. No soliciting, assholes. Home sweet fucking home. So again, this is the thing, that because he's started to see people, and he's kind of realised that humans that he comes across are more likely to be a danger than a potential ally. So he's that's when he set up the electrified door. And then 2095, so that's over 10 years later, so September 20th, I count 28 of them, 11 adult males, 8 females, 9 children aged 2 to 10, some rifles and pistols in bad repair, old world clothes, ratty. September 22nd, got close enough last night to hear them talk, Spanish I think, from Mexico. Heard them say paradiso a bunch, think that means paradise, here to stay then, seem harmless, seem. So 11 years later, but he's spotted a small group of people that he thinks have come from Mexico, and thinks that they've decided they want to settle here and that they seem harmless. So October 5th, so a couple of weeks later, the one I call Maria is pregnant, think the father is Jose, but she spends a lot of time with Pablo too. October 7th, Pedro ran out to pee in the stream and would have seen me if he looked to his left. Too close, need to give them space. So he's keeping an eye on these people, and he's kind of watching them from the shadows. And, I guess trying to assess whether they're a potential threat or what the situation is. And then November 10th, which again it's about a month later, Jose broke his leg chasing a bighorn, too far from camp for them to hear, told myself to leave it be but couldn't, 300 yards from their camp, did my best Jose screaming imitation until a bunch of them came looking, then strung them along to the crest where they could hear the real Jose. Probably useless, compound fracture broke the skin. So one of them got badly injured, and he led them to find the guy, but compound fracture, which means that the bone's broken into more than 2 pieces, so potentially the bone's fragmented or shattered, and if it's broken the skin, one of the biggest issues with a broken bone is if the skin's broken and infection gets into that bone, it tends to not go well. So the next day, the 11th of November, infection, so many goddamn words, nearly the same, think I'd be fluent, but anyway, Hosey's leg has got it, so he's going to die. Nature for you. Of course, they're giving prayer a try. So the people have realised that he's got an infection in this injured leg, which is pretty serious, and he's kind of realising that, you know, there are quite a lot of words that are very similar between English and Spanish, which kind of makes sense. And he's like, of course, they're giving prayer a try, and he sounds a little bit kind of dismissive of that. Obviously not someone that really believed in, you know, kind of higher power as much as these people seem to. So on November 12th, he left a bottle of antibiotics on a rock outside the camp last night. They thanked God, Dios, of course, as though that asshole saw fit to burn the world, but still cared enough to leave some medicine on a rock. So again, that's pretty clear, you know what I was saying, that, but the fact that they prayed and then help was given to them, which is positive reinforcement that the prayer works. And this is something that I think is very, very important to keep in mind, talking about this guy, because when you go through this DLC and you get to know the Sorrows, which is the other kind of peaceful tribe in Zion, and they talk about the father in the cave, this is kind of the beginning of that. So it just worth keeping in mind for the kind of storyline of Honest Hearts, that this is what happened, so that they prayed for help to God and they got help. So they think that, you know, there's something out there that's taking care of them anyway, and there actually is. So November 15th, Jose will always limp, but otherwise he'll be okay. Good deed for the month. Will they make it through the winter? So he's starting to care about these people as well, and that's pretty much everything for this location. But you can see, you know, that there's this group, and he's worried about them. He's worried about if they're going to survive, and he's feeling a really strong need to help them. Oh, it's added all the notes to my Pip Boy, which is useful if I want to refer back to them. But he's got kind of attached to this small group of people, and he's felt a strong need to help them if he can. Which is nice, because it feels like, you know, he sounds a bit more positive in those later entries, so obviously he's kind of found a purpose for himself once again, and a reason to kind of keep going to help these people out. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm just gonna try and find my way out of this cave, which is not that way, must be the other way. There we go, back to Zion Valley, and then we'll get to the next location. So while I'm on my way to the next cave, I thought it might be interesting to talk to Waking Cloud. So she's one of the potential companions for this DLC, and you can ask her about who or what is the father in the cave.
Have you not heard of the god of the new Canaanites? He is our protector and our judge. He helped our ancestors find their place here in Zion. He gave us many gifts, but we are not to seek him out. His caves are forbidden to us. Those who seek them out are taken from us.
Okay, that's really
I'm
interesting.
sure Daniel could tell you more. His knowledge of the Father is greater than my own.
Yeah, so that's good for now.
I will look forward to our next speaking.
Yep. So yeah, very brief conversation with her, but the Sorrows have this belief of the father in the cave, and then Daniel, one of the new Canaanites, has come here to as a missionary essentially to these people. So they've basically taken what he's taught them about the Christian God and conflated it with their tribal beliefs about the father in the cave, who was, in fact, that's Daniel there, isn't it? You know, who in fact was their kind of benefactor and is the man that we are currently learning about. I'm just trying to find my way to the next cave. I think it's... There's so many caves in this place, like... but yeah, so, you know, instead of kind of changing their entire belief system, they're kind of conflating the two together. So they are assuming that their kind of deity, the father in the cave... Is this the one that I'm looking for, I think? Yeah, oh, that's the one I'm looking for. Yeah, so they've basically taken what Daniel and Joshua Graham have been teaching them and conflating that with the father in the cave, who was this mysterious benefactor that answered their prayers and gave them help when they needed it and things. So it's quite an interesting thing, and it really shows that, you know, whatever your kind of faith or belief, at the end of the day, we're all just looking for answers, really, for life. But this is Stonebones Cave, so it's another cave that Randall spent some time in, and you can see that at some point there was some death that took place, and we've got tripwires that I can't... Oh, wait, nearly had it. Nope. Hell it. So yeah, there's tripwires, there's bear traps, there's explosions. There's another plasma mine. Yep. Yeah, that's why I put God mode on, because it is really hard to avoid all these traps. But you can see that these ones were definitely pretty aggressive as well. You know, plasma mines and bear traps and things like that. So that's the camping location. So if you watch my Vault 22 videos, we did visit this place briefly during that to talk about some of the people from Vault 22. Oh, they've walked in then on a plasma mine. So yeah, we had something here that's looks like a still to make alcohol and some rune books and things. Yeah, so it looks like a still, so potentially he's been making his own alcohol, which, you know, fair enough, when you're in that situation, might as well. But this is the kind of proper campsite. So again, we've got barrels, we've got a campfire, lots of crafting materials, old tins, workbenches, scraps, all kinds of stuff. There's a laser rifle that's broken, I think. I don't know, maybe if you have the right repair skill you can fix it. Yep, all kinds of things. There's even a broken terminal here, and then here's the survival cache with more ammo, bobby pins, energy cells, ECPs, energy cells, microfusion cells. So yeah, lots of good stuff in these caches. So that's us found 3 of the 6 of them. And then we've got the Desert Ranger combat armour and helmet. And some coffee always good. So let's really look at that armour, because it's quite good. So you get the Desert Ranger combat armour, and you can see it looks a lot like the NCR Ranger armour, but with the camouflage on the kind of chest protection. And it says, I can't quite read what it says there, but it does have something on it. I'll look up what it says. Because I can't read that on the screen. Okay, so the helmet on the front says, "Forgive me, Mama." There we go. And then the back of the helmet as a list of places in Shanghai and Nanjing, so it was where it was originally worn. Yeah, so on the chest plate, in white at the bit, the sort of neck protection, it says SSGT Vickers, which is the original owner of the armour. So he was a US Marine who was in China during the Yangtze campaign in Nanjing and then Shanghai. And somehow Randall Clark has acquired it. OPOS, so yeah, his blood type and the service branch and things. So, pretty good set of armour. And a nice unique version of the NCR Ranger armour that you can pick up in the base game. So let's have a look at the terminal entries. So I've got two separate ones for 2096, so that's both of them in the same year. So February 11th, fuckers killed all the men. I think they would have taken the women alive, but Maria and Selena opened fire and some of the others went for their guns, so they shot them down and some of the kids with them. If I could have warned them. February 12th, Elena and Carmen and 5 children still alive being kept in a pen. There are more than 100 of these assholes in blue suits. Every suit says 22 on the back. Why? Armed to the teeth with submachine guns, pistols. Estimate 60% male. Everyone seems to follow the dark-haired guy, but can't get close enough to tell. Assholes are disciplined, patrol sentries, they mean business. So this sort of is thought to indicate that Randall didn't really know about the existence of the vaults, but you've got to assume that he knew that the vaults existed, but perhaps somehow he wasn't aware of the blue jumpsuits and things. Makes sense given that their TV was still in black and white and that kind of thing. So it might be that he didn't know that that's what people in the vaults would wear. But he's got to have known that the vaults existed. But say I go in at night and get the women and children out. Where to next? But I have to get them out. Have to. February 13th, recon during night. Well organised sentries along most approaches, but stream not covered. Are they sick? Lots of coughing fits, tuberculosis. Women and children still in pen. We'll try to infiltrate by stream tomorrow night. So again, he's been keeping an, he's been doing some recon, observing these people and noticing the coughing, which obviously when we talked about Vault 22, we know why. And the women and children are still there, so he's going to try and go through the stream to rescue them. And then February 14th, they ate them, so didn't really go well. February 19th, ambush along Riverside Trail, 6 males killed, heard their coughing a mile away, used their grenades to booby-trap bodies, kept half, secured 6 submachine guns, 500 rounds 10mm, 6 frags. February 20th, ambush along Riverside Trail, 2 males died, checking bodies, killed 2 more with rifle, shot 1 through calf and let asshole crawl off to spread message, coughed like I'd shot him through the lungs. Ambush half-mile east of the coal pits wash, 8 males killed. So he was unable to rescue the people from the Vault 22 dwellers, but he's gone on a bit of a revenge spree and has killed quite a number of them. Left one to go back and tell the rest about him, basically. And then later that year, so February 28th, ambush in the Narrows, 6 males killed, took a 10mm through the thigh, steel jacket, missed femoral, lucky, Use tourniquet to make sure no blood spattered on rocks back to cave. I've set traps all along the entrance passage, but if they find me, it'll be a matter of time. Still, 24 confirmed kills in 10 days. At least a third of their combat force. Not bad for an old man. So 24 of these vault dwellers he has now managed to kill, but he did end up taking a shot as well. So March the 2nd, so a couple of days later. Lucky. Patrol was small. 3 men. Screaming woke me. Point man caught under deadfall. Panic fire ricocheted into cave. Almost hit me. Crawled forward and killed them all with SMGs. Nearly used frags. Stupid. Finger and pin when remembered ricochets. Leaving at once. No other patrols in area, but they'll be searching narrows for these 3. Taking as much food as I can drag with me and heading to cave south. So this all happened in quite a short space of time, and he managed to take down quite a number of the Vault 22 dwellers in revenge for them killing and eating the group of, I guess, refugees is probably the best term for it, that he had come to kind of care for. So let's head back outside. And the next location, thankfully passed out on the way here, is Cueva Guarash. I am sorry if I've completely butchered that pronunciation. Spanish isn't a language that I really learned, but this is the next location where we've got some more updates on what our friend Randall has been up to. Again, there's lots of this fungus growing everywhere. And blocked off entrance due to trees. And yeah, again, combat's turned off, but there's your spore plant. There's a spore carrier runt, so just a little one. And again, we talked about that a lot back in the Fallout, in the Vault, the Vault 22 videos cover a lot of the details about that. So if you're interested in learning more about all of that stuff, I will put a wee link in the top right corner for you to go and check it out. You can hear the noises, there's still more in here. Creepy things. Very creepy. Now I've got completely lost. Oh, look, there's another spore plant. So we know now that the spore plants and the spore carriers are all related to Vault 22 and the absolute horror show that occurred in that vault. So yep, there's more spore plants and spore carriers, explosives crates, and a gate with, what's my mind? There we go. Didn't get blown up that time. Stim pack, Coca-Cola, so yeah, a bunch of supplies. Close this gate. At least the spore plants can't actually follow you right enough. They're immobile, which is useful. And again, more of the same. You know, we can see that this guy knows how to set up a camp. Campfire over here, crates of supplies, workbenches, more supplies. Good old duct tape, can't go wrong with duct tape. Bobby pins, all that kind of stuff. Gun case, survival cache. Right away, yeah, all kinds of useful stuff. So that says got 4 of 6. Gun case, I don't know if this is where. I'll get a recharger pistol. It's quite an unusual find. But here we go. So we've got 3 different years of coverage. So 2097. So this is obviously where he went right after Stone Bones Cave. So January 13th. The coffers are gone finally. All 34 that still lived. 8 they're dead for strength. Then struck out southeast. Victory. 10 months of killing. All I feel is cold. They deserved every goddamn bit of it. So, you know, he's killed quite a lot of these Vault 22 dwellers, but he doesn't really feel any remorse for it because of what they did, and the ones that were left went away. Then January 17th, so 4 days later, thought I was dreaming, but the screams were real for a moment, thought they'd tricked me, just pretended to leave Zion, then sent a patrol to track me down, but the screams were a woman's. Edged around corner and passageway to have a look. One vaulter, ankle deep in bear trap, levelled my SMG, but the way she was crying stalked me. How she screamed when she saw me. Been their boogeyman a long time. Named Sylvie, claims she ran away from them, calls them evil people, children of the devil. Turns out they were sick after all, something they caught in a vault they lived in. She never came down with it yet. So help me, I've wound up being her nurse. So one of the women from Vault 22 gets caught in one of his bear traps and he decides to help her out. So January 18th, her story matches what I learned from my interrogations last year, but according to her, let's just say it was bad to be a woman in that group. So some pretty hefty implications there. So when they left, she slipped away. She knows next to nothing about living outside a vault, says she wants to learn. So she's kind of confirmed what he found out from interrogating some of the men from the vault before, and sort of that there was potentially some pretty horrible things going on. And then 2100, so 3 years later, September 9th, never been so scared in my life. Canada wasn't scary, just sickening, the criminality of it. The end of the world wasn't scary. When I knew you and Alex were dead, I didn't have anything left to be scared about. I just went on for some reason. I wasn't scared fighting the Vaulters. It was like I kept daring them to finish me. When I killed them, I think it was the closest I came to feeling happy in years. Sylvia is pregnant and I am terrified. Ridiculous old man, a father again at 47 in this world. She's so excited and so trusting. It says it's God's will that we have this child, like nothing can go wrong. You see, Char, she doesn't know about you and Alex, never told her, almost did sometimes, but what you and I had, it seemed wrong to share it. More like an old man not wanting his young wife to know how he failed the one who came before her. Hiking into Talkerville for medical books and supplies. This will be done right. I'm sorry, Char. I hope you can forgive me. So clearly the relationship between Randall and Sylvie bloomed and she's now expecting and he's freaking out. You know, killing aggressive vault dwellers, not scared, all of that. But the fact that she's pregnant and there's a baby on the way and he's absolutely terrified, so he wants to get what he needs to make sure that everything's done the way it should be. And then 2101, March 5th, baby was breech, would have been a son, Michael. Did my best to turn him, failed, must have done caesarean too late, had to put Sylvia out and she never woke up. Buried them south of the Narrows. Well, this time I was by their side, so much better. I think I can finally do it, blow my fucking brains out all over this goddamn cave. So unfortunately, the pregnancy ended in tragedy. Both, again, mother and son lost, and he thinks he's ready to put an end to things. So all those notes get added, but as you can imagine, we've only got 4 out of the 6 of the caches, so we're not quite finished yet. So next place is Morning Glory Cave, so I will meet you there in just a second. Here we are. So unfortunately, we've got an angry big corner. You bull? Yeah, big corner bull in front of the cave. I did see, yeah, there's a Yao Guai over there, but this is Morning Glory Cave, so this is the last cave that we're going to be visiting. Here we go, that's me found my way. So yeah, again, interesting to note that there is spore plants in here as well. So they do get around. There's a tripwire. This is average lot, so should be an issue. Yeah. There we go. More bear traps. So again, he still felt the need to be defensive of his little camps. But again, fairly similar setup. You know, he's got his crafting materials, he's got barrels to store things, his campfire, and then a little shelter that he's built with his bedroll, and one of his caches with some useful ammo, water, all that kind of stuff. So that's us found 5 out of the 6, and again there's a bunch of energy weapon ammo. So let's continue with the story. So we jump forward quite a bit actually. So this is another 7 years after he lost his second wife and son, 2108. August 22nd, 10 sets of tracks half-mile northeast of Canyon entrance, barefoot, ? August 23rd, saw them through scope, corpses walking around, finally gone crazy, dementia maybe. August 24th, I'm not crazy, they're real, goddammit they're real. Rushed at me the moment they saw me, snarling like animals, they look like corpses but don't smell rotted. I'll be putting them out of their misery, doing for them what I never could for myself. September 3rd, the last of them all gone. So clearly at this point feral ghouls are starting to show up, and he's just killed a whole bunch of them that wandered into Zion as well. So this is probably about the time when feral ghouls would be starting to show up, because it's a process that does seem to take a bit of time. So you wouldn't have seen them really kind of in the immediate post-war time frame. And then again we're moving forward 5 years to 2113, February 5th. Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me, happy birthday you useless old dinosaur, happy birthday to me. So it's still really a lot of negative self-talk, but happy 60th. What do you get, a man who has everything? A bottle of whiskey and a 12 gauge slug through the roof of the mouth. Woo. It's pretty dark. It does, you know, this guy obviously has gone to a very dark place, and given the situation that he found himself in and what happened, you can understand, you know, a lot of the kind of survivor's guilt and everything, and just the sheer shock of the end of the world happening right in front of you. So, come now, what do I have to do to prove to myself that I've lived long enough? I'm a shrivelled old man, white beard, seen enough sunrises and sunsets, saw the big sunset, been hanging on through the long night, 36 years now, ridiculous. Not kidding myself into thinking there's anything on the other side of this, fine. Things weren't so bad before I was born. Sharon, Alex, Sylvia and Michael, who could have been, thoughts of the beloved dead before dying, goodbye Zion. February 6th, fucking didn't do it, coward as usual, maybe 2 bottles next year. So again, he keeps thinking about this and just can't bring himself to do it, and clearly the next year he didn't, because we're now 21-23, so again another decade after the last entry. April 25th, 24 of them, half boys, half girls, youngest is 8 maybe, oldest 13 to 14, dirty and scrawny, been on foot a long time, children's crusade, struck camp on nearly the exact same spot as Los Mexicanos 30 years and a lifetime ago. I spent 2 nights listening to them, English, literate, one of them reads stories while the little ones fall asleep. They escaped someplace they call the school, but can't figure out where it was. When they want a little one to behave, they tell him to stop, or the principal will get you. Principal better not show up or I'll blow his goddamn head off. I can still shoot it straight. So, again, there's this group of kids that have shown up that have come from some place called the school, possibly of all. It's not clear, and he has kind of seen them, and he ends up taking a bit of responsibility for them, and that's the group that does end up becoming the Sorrows. That's the group that become the Sorrows and see him as the father in the cave. So there's just one more location that we need to go to if I can find my way out of this cave. Okie dokie, so this is us at the final location related to this man. We seem to be having some issues with geckos getting stuck inside things in the world. But this is, I'll see if I can trigger the actual location. Apparently not. So this is the Red Gate, which I'm pretty sure is an actual location, but for some reason I am unable to trigger it. Maybe I need to be down there. But yeah, so lovely scenic overlook, and you'll notice the absence of the white handprints here. Basically, nobody really knows that this is here. Oh, there we go, we got it, the Red Gate, unless you discover this location. But if you come here, and we can see a skeleton, and the survivalist duffel bag. So we've got some bottle caps, some money, stim packs, the survivalist's rifle, and then year 2124. As well as some other bits and pieces. So yeah, so this is him. This is the man that we've been talking about this whole time. So this is Randall Clark, and we get his rifle, which I will show you. So it's a unique variant of the battle rifle. And yeah, it's a good gun. It's a good weapon. It's really uses 12.7mm ammo and that kind of thing. But more importantly, we picked up a holotape there, 2124. So January 2nd, I've been leaving notes for them and gifts. They like the books, started with stories but moved on to weapons manuals, medical books, practical stuff. In the notes, well, it's embarrassing, almost like those cards people used to give to each other. Everything sweet and loving. I tell them to read and to learn and to make the most of their new home. I tell them I'm giving them Zion as a gift to make up for all the sorrows of their lives so far and all the sorrows man has visited on man. I tell them to be kind to each other and modest. I tell them never to hurt each other, but that if someone else comes along and tries to hurt them, to strike back with righteous anger. Stuff like that. I sign every note, the father, because, well, just because. So that's this group of kids that arrived here. He's been leaving them useful things. He's been leaving them books and notes to tell them to look after the place and to look after each other and that kind of thing. So it's really quite sweet. Then January the 18th, have I mentioned that I'm dying? Mind's still sharp, lungs are the problem, might be cancer, cough's been getting worse for months, finally there's blood in it, getting harder to visit my little friends, breath so short. I've given away most of what I own, they'll find the rest in the caves when they get a little older. I don't want them to find me though, the father is a broken down old man. Disappointment. It's time, I don't want another birthday. So he has now realised that, you know, he's got something going on, possibly lung cancer. Based on his kind of symptoms and things, and that would make sense. And he doesn't want them to find him and find out that he's dying, so he's decided that he's ready to have an end to things. So January 23rd, it's cold enough that I won't last long on the high mound up next to the Red Gate. I think I've got enough breath in me to make it. I'll just lie down and stare at the sky. It feels right. I hope they'll do well. I hope no harm comes to them from within or without. Did my best to prepare them with the last few notes. Said something kind about each one of them, what makes each one special. Told them the father was pleased by their kind natures and that it would be up to them to handle things on their own from now on. I'd be silent but still watching and caring. Lying then, oh yes. Lied to you, Shar, and Alex, and Sylvie. Told you I'd be with you forever, but I wouldn't go back and unsay it once if I could. What was the point of it all? So many failures. but I never forgot your face, or Little Nuts, or, sorry, Sylvie's. They used to say that happened after a while, but it never did for me. Maybe the only point of all this living was to keep those pictures in my head going for as long as I could. It was the only life I could give you. Not a day went by without. It wasn't choice. I chose to die again and again. Just never did. Body had its own drive. Well, the little ones will need it. Species will need it if it's to continue. That blind drive onward. I wish them well. It's been a gift to me at the end of it all to behold innocence. Goodbye, Zion. Randall Clark, February 5th. 2053 to January 24. So it's his final note to the world, just in case somebody comes across them and wants to tell a story like we've done here. So it's a really harrowing tale. It's a really sad story full of all kinds of horrible things, but also some really good things. And I say he's gone on to basically support and become a kind of deity for the Sorrows, who then conflated that with the teachings about the Christian God, which when you look at it, a lot of that is about, being kind to your neighbours and, looking after each other, the gift of charity, all that kind of stuff. But also at the same time, he's like, if somebody threatens you to fight back, don't just, roll over and take it. And it's just really, really beautiful. And then he's just chosen this absolutely gorgeous place for his final moments, and it's hidden away for us to find and to tell this man's story. And it really is, it's such a detailed account of exactly what happened in the immediate kind of post-bomb times, as well as some of the consequences that Vault-Tec have had with their insane experiments. The dwellers from Vault 22 who have been infected by this spore and have spread it across the wasteland and brought it here to and caused a lot of damage and killed people that didn't do any harm to them, that kind of thing. And it's quite sad, but the fact that he managed to find love again even after knowing that his wife and son were killed in the bombs, and he managed to move on and find somebody else, but then that ended in tragedy. Oh, there's the rain on. And this is his final resting place. So that's the story of Randall Clark. I say we don't see him in person other than his skeleton, but we really do get an insight into someone's story after the bombs and the result and the consequences of what happened and how he dealt with it, and really getting into that understanding that people that did survive, what their mental state could have been. And he ended up going into a depressive state where he contemplated suicide many times, never really brought himself to do it until the very end when he knew he was dying anyway, but that he was thinking about that, and that he was still thinking about his loved ones right up until the end, the ones that he'd lost. But he was still able to find something positive and to do something positive. So, he's left his mark on the world in some small way, that this one little group of people have kept his memory alive in a way. They talk about the father in the cave. He hoped that the supplies that he left in his camps would be helpful to them, but they didn't want to touch it because they felt it was taboo to go to these places. They treat them as kind of sacred, taboo places to visit. But it's it's one of my favourite stories in all of Fallout is the story of Randall Clark, the survivalist. You get some really good loot out of following his trail as well, but you do also then discover a really, really interesting story, and quite an emotional one as well. It's quite sad, but also really nice in a way, and you know, he got to choose the final view that he had before he passed away. So yeah, it's a lovely story and a tragic story all at the same time, for this man who knew how to survive. Even when he didn't want to, he still knew how to survive. So hopefully you find that interesting and enjoyable. I think this will be quite an interesting series. Oh, so was that a flash of lightning? And certainly this is something that I'd like to cover, because I think there's a lot of interesting people to talk about. Some major players in the storylines of the games, some less so. But hopefully you'll find it as interesting as I do. And if there is anybody particular that you want me to cover next, let me know in the comments. Drop a subscribe if you want to see more. I upload 3 times a week with Fallout lore and science and background of Fallout creatures and things. We're putting together quite the bestiary of all the creatures that you come across in Fallout. And this Saturday we're going to be looking at the rad stags that you come across in Fallout 4. Thursday will be a vault. I will have to have a think. I might be time to do Vault 101 actually, so we can have a look at that. And on Friday there will be a new episode of the Dragon Age the Veilguard. I'm basically giving my kind of raw reaction and first playthrough of the Veilguard as I go, so if that's something you'd be interested in, then that's on the channel there for you as well. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.